Okay, welcome everyone to another edition of the Everyday Hustle Show, where we're figuring it out together over time.
Yep.
Today is Saturday night. This is the 21st recorded episode. We brought a guest on tonight. So the past couple of weeks, we've kind of just been getting back to the basics, figuring out, or remembering why we started the podcast, and kind of, just getting back to really the basics of what we wanted to accomplish by starting the podcast and talking about it and kind of bringing it back. Tonight we brought a guest out though, so we'll kind of, introduce her. But first, Christian, how you doing tonight?
Feeling good. Had a pretty good day overall, and was a little bit tired, but now I have a coffee, so I am ready to go.
Yep, Casa Andrew, you know what I'm saying? Jesse's not here tonight.
That's right.
So we're over at my place. We got the computer and the mixing board set up. I got Christian some coffee.
Yes, sir.
So we're in a good place. And we brought Kelly out tonight. Kelly, how you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
All right. So we got some stuff written down, some things that we're going to talk about. But, I had a good day today. Essentially, it's Saturday, off for my part-time job, which I just started a couple weeks ago, which has been interesting and, humbling and awesome. Kind of working with my hands now, just like, my blue-collar brothers.
Yes, sir.
But always getting my workout in, and I know that, you're, really into, working out, Kelly, and I know that, a few years ago you had a big transition in your life with exercise and nutrition and all that stuff, and I want to talk about that first because I feel like that's a really awesome topic, and that, a lot of people in America, don't really take, nutrition and exercise seriously, and I know that you had, like I said, like a big transition, so kind of just want to like pick your brain on that and like how you got started with that process and what it was like for you going through all that stuff. So what was it like, for you at the point where you're like, I need to change? Now, how did you get to that point, or what made you realize like I need to change something serious?
Well, I would say it kind of came over time. There wasn't really like this like found moment of clarity or anything like that. It was more along the lines, I weighed 300 pounds. I knew, everything was wrong. I had went through some knee surgeries, and they caused me to not be able to move. They didn't think I would be good at walking, that I may never walk again, and I disagreed with that. I didn't see the problem in it. And it was August, and they offered a Groupon for a gym, and I went with one of my friends, and we went, and I remember how I was treated when I went there. And unfortunately, I was treated extremely poorly. The owner looked down upon me. I don't know if it's because I was overweight. They didn't want me to lift heavy, even though, I was a larger girl. I obviously was very strong. I had been carrying my fat around forever. And, it was, I couldn't run. I couldn't do anything. And nobody really gave me like a fair shot. And I had to have another knee surgery just in that Groupon time. And when I came back from that one, that gym was getting closed down. And I was able to find, another gym and was able to switch over. And when I arrived there, I was treated differently. It was a better atmosphere. I felt welcomed. It was fun. It was more of like a group environment. And I was able to realize like, wow, I can actually turn my life around. I can't say the nutrition happened in the same day because it didn't. But just getting moving, just realizing, okay, maybe I can start to change. Like, I guess you could say I found hope in the situation. I knew I didn't want to be where I was at. Like, it was not an instant thing, but the nutrition definitely took time.
Yeah, they say that's like 70%. I mean, that's like the standard like quote that you hear is that nutrition 70% of it. But you just like there's so many things that you just said that I want to like ask you. So I just jotted some things down. I'm gonna kind of go back. How did you injure your knee?
I was born weird. Is the only
too.
answer.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think everybody sitting here has been born weird.
Yeah.
No, like I just actually had knee surgery again last week.
Yeah,
and,
that was on my list to talk.
Yeah. And when I meet with the anesthesiologist, every single time I meet with them, I list all my body surgeries, and they're like, "Oh, so you were hit by a truck when you were young?" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "So what's going on?" I'm like, "No, I'm born weird." I don't
So you
know.
didn't like have like an injury in the gym or an injury like
Nope.
snowboarding or something. It's just
Nope.
over time. So
Yeah.
and what was it? Your ACL or what?
No, actually, it was my kneecap.
Kneecap.
So
Oh, wow.
the first surgery I ever had on my knee was to fix my kneecap that was falling off to the
Oh.
side. So they did like a patella realignment, and
Is that what holds the kneecap in the front?
it's
the patella?
yeah, like it's the patella is the kneecap, and like it has like the ligament that comes down,
Oh,
and so they broke mine and reattached it with screws and filled it with some fake stuff. Unfortunately, the doctor did it incorrectly. And so it's been trying to fix that ever since. So this
Did
last week was
you-
number 10.
I feel like people sue people when that happens. Did you do anything of the sort? Or?
You know, I spoke with an attorney and they discussed some options. And the only thing I really wanted was it to be listed with that doctor as
Yeah.
like a malpractice. So he was able to do that part so that if anybody else went to him, I would never want the same thing
Right.
to
They
happen.
would know, like, hey.
Yeah, like, but I didn't sue him. I feel a little differently about that now, seeing as how it's still costing money,
Right,
like
right.
years later.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
I kind of wish I would have went forward with it, and now, unfortunately, the time
Yeah.
has passed.
Yeah.
But
It's strange because they're humans too. You know, doctors
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes, humans make mistakes, but like it's, you know, that's why they study the length that they
Right.
do, I guess, and with the intensity that they do
Mm-hmm.
is so that they make less mistakes. And it's always sad when you hear people, you know, surgery's gone bad.
At least cover the next
Absolutely.
surgery or something.
yeah,
you
to
know?
fix it, you know,
Yeah.
I can't
Buy
say
one, get
that-
one free. Can I get a kneecap on the
Can I
front?
get a discount?
So are both your knees messed up?
No, I'm so grateful that the day he operated the patella, the first day, he wanted to do both. So the left one is just as bad as the right one, but I didn't let him touch it, and now
Okay.
I'll never let anyone
Yeah.
let it go.
So
I'm never
do you
gonna
have
let
like
it
daily
touch.
pain?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things that you really get used to,
Yeah.
because like when he put the screws in, he put them in incorrectly, and they hit each other.
Oh.
So it's like every time that I run, every time I do everything,
Can like feel the
I can
agitation?
feel I can. It's like a tingle. It's a bad tingle.
So you said that, okay, nutrition over time, obviously that's like,
Yeah.
that is like a standard with everyone who kind of goes through these, and you kind of have to take it like that. You know, I know like you can't just go from eating, you know, junk food every single day, every single meal of your life to, you know, eating clean. I mean, people don't even understand what that concept means, you know,
Yeah.
if you're not really into that type of thing. But I get that. And you said you were treated poorly when you went into the first gym. Like that was just, I wrote it down like right away, and I'm thinking to myself, I think like, okay, so like when I see people who are like struggling or new in the gym, you know, I think like in my head, like I want to go up to them and say like, yo, like, I have a lot of respect for you, like keep it moving, like fuck
Absolutely.
yeah, that's what I want to do. I don't ever do that.
You don't want it to
because
come
I
off
don't
the
want them to
wrong-
feel
right,
like singled
right,
out or
right.
anything like that.
Right.
But I couldn't believe that, or I find it hard to believe that somebody could own a place and employ people that would treat you poorly for trying to make better choices.
And it probably happens like more often than we think.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. I hear about it a lot.
Yeah.
I do. I hear about. I don't understand.
It's
it.
discouraging for people who probably, you know. But I mean, how did you react to that?
You know, I can't say it got me down. It really didn't. I obviously felt disrespected, but even like going to the next gym, like there were still people that would look at me,
Right.
you know, look at me differently. My workout was completely different. I couldn't even do a jumping jack. Like I couldn't handle the pressure of a jumping jack.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people are doing, it's almost like a competitive workout. And instead, I would do it at my pace, and I would do
Yeah.
it twice. Like I would stay for 2 classes because my pace was so different than
Yeah.
anyone else. But I was so determined that I wasn't going to let anything drive me away. Like you could give me judgy eyes all day.
Yeah.
So you work out. I mean, not like, I'm not saying like naming it like a CrossFit gym, but it's like that type
Yeah,
of style
it's-
is what you're
yeah,
talking about.
it's a CrossFit style, yes.
Okay. All right. So that's, I mean, is that where you continually are doing your exercising?
Yep, I've been there for over 4 years now. I actually coach there.
Oh,
now.
nice.
Awesome.
So, which is a big change.
What's that like?
You know what? I love the new people because
You
I
see
think
yourself in them at all? Or?
Yeah.
when someone who is larger comes in, especially like a larger female, my absolute favorite,
Yeah.
because they will turn to me and they'll say, "No, you don't understand."
And then you pull out your phone and show them pictures. Like, what the fuck you talking about? Here I was.
And I tell them like, "No, you don't understand how much
Right.
I actually do understand." And like to be able to bring that to the table is rare.
Yeah.
You know, I can actually, if they're like, "Oh, well, I can't do this sit up because my stomach is too large," I'm like, "Don't worry. I know exactly what to do." Because I did create a lot of my own like modifications to
That's
things
awesome.
based off of my body.
Right.
So it's like if you give me somebody who's out of shape, you give me somebody who is especially very overweight, You know, there are different things, and it all benefits.
Yeah, and the routine is like huge. 'Cause I know when I first started lifting, you know, when I didn't have a routine, it was the same. I felt, you know, kind of weird. I felt judged, and not like to a certain like extreme, I'm sure, as how you went through it, but just in terms of like myself, like my insecurities. But then once I started to, you know, luckily I had a friend who was going a lot, had been going for a while, and he kind of gave me like the blueprint or kind of like a little bit of a routine. And then once I got into that motion, then it was almost like turned from this weird anxious event to like a therapeutic event. You know, I had my headphones and I knew exactly what I was doing when I finished. And so I think that's another huge thing too, is when you don't know what you're doing in the gym, it makes it that much more like difficult.
Absolutely.
So.
I saw someone today, and like people don't think about this stuff sometimes. Like we have so much knowledge and resources at our fingertips for the gym, eating healthy, exercising. Guy was definitely new, out of shape, overweight, and he was sitting there on an incline bench, and he had his phone out, and he was looking at an instruction on how to do an exercise. Like, fuck yeah, that's what I'm talking about, you know. Like, yeah, and I do that too sometimes, you know, like you go on like bodybuilding.com or you know, whatever it is, or sometimes like I'll see an exercise and I don't know what that is, and I'll just go to YouTube, type it in, and there's a video of somebody doing it. So it's like, I think you could do that kind of stuff too. So okay, so coaching at the that's, I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
The neat part I can say, and we talked about it earlier, is now like having an understanding of nutrition. Like I have a nutritionist who is a licensed nutritionist who helps me with everything, and I also have a friend who has like hardly any body fat and is a professional athlete, and like so I have both aspects, you know, and from them I have learned so much. You know, I had someone first introduce me to nutrition. She unfortunately is not in the area anymore, but she helped me so much to realize things. And like the amount these people have taught me, they didn't just do it for me.
Right.
They weren't just like, oh, here's a meal plan.
Yeah.
They showed me how. They showed me macronutrients, micronutrients, timing, like things that were so above what I had any idea.
So
tonight I was actually able to do it for somebody else.
That's
you know,
awesome.
like just sitting down, they were just talking about their weight issues, and I was like, here, let me see your phone, and I set up a whole thing for them, like
That's
on their
awesome.
phone.
Did what the athlete teach you and the nutritionist teach you like mesh with one another, or were their outlooks and perspectives like different?
Very different. Very different. Like the nutritionist is very healthy. She'll keep it very healthy. The athlete was more for like when fighting, when I had to do like a serious weight cut, when I have to get my body to a very unfortunate weight when I look at it.
Because they have two different goals.
Yeah.
So it's,
Absolutely. So it's like he's better with the actual like weight cut aspect.
Right.
But she's great with the day by day. Like right now,
she knows what's
nutrition.
actually like healthy for you, like what foods are good for you. Yeah, I feel like, you know, when people like, so like for example, like I eat a lot of like food that I prepare at home, you know, but a lot of it like has fat and stuff in it, like, you know, cheeses that have a lot of fat, yogurts that have a lot of fat, you know, sometimes guacamole, avocados. And I know from my experience that those are healthy fats. And I have it in my mind that because I exercise 5 days a week, that is completely okay. So for me to put that type of stuff in my food so it tastes good, you know, like, you know, chicken with cheese on it or something like that, or even like turkey bacon, you know, things like that. Like I know that like I'm not going to beat myself up if I eat those things because I know that, you know, I'm exercising, but still like high cholesterol, things like that. Like, you know, it's in the back of my mind, but I mean, I also, you know, I'm still young, so I have that advantage. But
It's okay. Fat's actually good for you, so you're okay.
Right. So I mean, yeah, and that's not. I don't know that. You know, I mean, I paid a trainer online $35 a week to give me nutrition and workouts. He did 5 days a week workouts, and told me, you know, how to eat. And I did that for a year. And the amount of stuff that I learned from that, you know, spending $100 whatever, you know, bucks a month, I thought it was well worth it.
Absolutely.
For what I learned. But okay, so you said that you were 300 pounds. How much weight did you lose?
150.
150 pounds. Okay, yeah. See, I see the pictures
I'm
of you.
a little bit more at the moment, but close. It has been 150.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, and like, see, that's the thing is like people will usually like start and they'll be like, yeah, I lost like 10 pounds. I'm like, oh, that's just like, you just started. Like
That
that's the tip.
It fluctuates, right? Like a lot.
Absolutely. You can lose
Yeah.
10 pounds in 5
And a
minutes
day
in
or
water
two.
weight.
Yeah. So, but yeah, to lose 150 pounds, like that's why I bring it up, is because, like, you could tell me you've been working out for a month or two and you lost 10 pounds. I'd be like, so what? Like, yeah, I mean, I could do that in like a day or two. And then you take someone who actually made the change and implemented it in their life and has lost 150 pounds. It's a much bigger difference. I think when I hear that, I think of dedication, perseverance,
Yeah.
consistency. Those are the things that I think about. You hit on, like, fighting and things like that, and I know that on Facebook I saw that you got a blue belt a year ago.
I did.
So blue
I
belt
got
in what?
my Brazilian Jujitsu.
Okay.
Awesome.
So what was that process like? How long did that take, and what, like, got you into that?
Well, I had made a decision. I saw, fighting on TV one day, of course, like everyone watches the UFC. You see Ronda Rousey, she's doing all these things, and I have decided I want to be that badass woman.
Awesome.
And so why not? I was like, I'm going to do that. And what do I need to do it? So I contacted somebody his name's Kendrick, and he's one of the most amazing men I know in martial arts. And he explained to me, like, I need to learn jujitsu. And so he started teaching me jujitsu, and slowly but surely, that became my favorite. And I remember the first like day at jujitsu being like, no, there's absolutely no way I will ever take a fight to the ground. Like, the fight has to be standing. I wanted to be the scrapper and all of this. And I start training jujitsu daily, and I realized, like, wow, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's called the gentle art. And though you get popped a lot and there's not too much gentleness to it, I see why it's called that, because it is so technical. It's so amazing. One of my training partners, she's 115 pounds, big weight difference between us, and yet we can train together because technique can outweigh strength. And to me, that's absolutely amazing, and it's just probably the coolest martial art there is.
And how long after, I assume this was after you went through that big transition of losing all that weight. How long?
Well, when I went into jiu-jitsu, I actually still weighed about 215.
215.
So
maybe like a
still
year or like...
It was, gosh, you want to lose weight, do jiu-jitsu. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you're wearing a heavy gi, you'll sweat it out quick. And so I started at about that, and then, really started training for fighting at like 185 pounds. So.
And how does that belt system work? Because I'm not... I have no idea.
Yeah, blue's only one away from black, no?
I wish. No, the thing with jiu-jitsu that's different from my understanding of other martial arts, there's like karate.
Yeah.
There's very fast-moving belts.
Okay.
In jiu-jitsu, there is not. It is a slow learning process. Like, my sensei, I train under George Santiago at Excel, right up the street in Boynton. And he had his blue belt for 4 years. So it's different for every person.
I was going to ask, okay.
Yeah. I didn't have my white belt very long. I got the pleasure of getting promoted to blue belt, and so far so good.
Awesome.
But it usually it's white, blue, purple, brown, black.
Okay.
There's more for the children. I do have the privilege of actually helping teach the kids.
Yeah, I've seen a picture of that. It's awesome.
I love them. They're the best part of it by far. And the thing is, though, they have a lot more belts, which I think is genius. Yeah. Because kid gets a new belt, they get more interested. Yeah. They want to keep going along with it. For adults, it teaches you great patience.
To have it for a long time, yeah.
And I love competing in jiu-jitsu, so I am absolutely in zero hurry to compete with higher belts. I've only fought twice in jiu-jitsu as a blue belt, and both went very well.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it probably makes that, like, once you achieve it, it probably makes that that much more greater, as opposed to, like, getting it 3 months, to 4 years. So. And
I personally believe there's way more to getting a belt than just, it has nothing to do with competing. It doesn't have to do who you can beat up, it's how well, this is just my opinion, like how well you know the technique. And foremost of everything is how you carry yourself. Yeah. Like how you carry yourself on the mats. I see people that have higher belts than me that aren't kind, and I watch them roll with a white belt and they're not polite about it, and I just could never fathom that. Like that's like the new person at the gym. Yeah. Imagine being a new person, like coming in and about to be choked by everybody. Like that's a scary feeling. Like if anything, you always want to welcome them. So.
And are there certain things that you like certain techniques you don't know or can't learn until you reach like the next level, or do
No.
they pretty much show you?
We learn all at the same
Okay.
rate. There's certain classes like beginners, fundamental, advanced. There's advanced is more for people who like compete, because you will start standing, versus in a lot of classes you start on the ground.
Okay.
So there are some differences there, and the only thing you do is you build a bigger arsenal.
Okay.
So the longer you've been there, the easier it is to get out of a situation. The longer you've been there, the easier the attack is. There's always the basics, but then there's, okay, you learned X guard. Now, once you've mastered X guard, you may learn it with someone else, but they don't take it in the same way. Some
Right.
people have certain positions they love. Like, everyone has their own thing. Like, I'm not an armbar girl. I am a choker. Like, I want to choke you. Like, nope, that's just
awesome.
my thing.
It kind of confuses me, and that's I wanted to ask you about, like, so like I know like MMA is mixed martial arts, right?
Yes.
And then we're speaking about jujitsu, right? So what like differentiates? So you said Brazilian Jujitsu. So like, what are the techniques, or what are like what are you learning when you're learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? What are you actually learning?
The best way to describe it would be it's ground fighting. And if you think about any fight you've ever seen, any fight on the street, 90% of the time, where does it end up? It ends up on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's what to do when there. Of course, when at a competition, you start standing because you get 2 points for a takedown, but you're going to want to learn that defense on the ground.
So it's a lot of, I feel like then it's a lot of wrestling, no?
It has the same
Or it has wrestling.
It has similarities in like hip control, but the only difference is wrestlers is to get your back on the ground.
Right.
Like the wrestlers hold down, they pin.
Right.
We do opposite. We can attack limbs. We can attack ankles. We can attack at certain levels. You can attack wrists, toes. There's everything. You can attack every bit of that person's body.
When you're
And
saying
you
you're
get to
trying to choke
choke.
someone, you could choke them with any part of your body.
You can
legs,
choke them. Yes, you can choke them with legs, arms. You can choke them with their own arm. If you're wearing a gi, if it's not no gi class, then you can actually choke them with the gi.
What's the
makes-
gi?
wow.
Did we talk about that yet or no?
No.
A gi is like a kimono, like you look
Like
like you're
your-
wearing
your shirt.
pajamas.
Oh, okay.
Like you look like you're in pajamas.
So you can actually choke them with that?
Absolutely, the gi
Wow.
you can hold on to. There's certain ways you want to hold it, but yeah,
That's
it's the best way to choke somebody. If someone's wearing a business suit, you can do the same thing.
So yeah, you could choke them with their tie, if you really want to. So the competitive aspect of your fighting, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you started learning that. When at that point, when did you decide that you wanted to get in the ring?
I thought I was ready to get in the ring before I even started, to be honest. Like, I am a competitive person.
Right.
And seeing it on TV, I was like, I can do that. I used to fight a lot when I was young. I was like, I can absolutely do that. I'm a scrapper. I got this. Finding the technique behind it took a little while longer.
Yeah.
So it was about a little over a year from day one of training that I got into the cage. It was probably... because April, I think 22nd was the day of my first fight, and I started a year prior in January.
So that was last year. A year ago was your first fight.
It was, yes.
And you you did 2 or 3? How many fights?
3 fights for XFN, yes.
3
So
fights,
they're my
okay.
title.
Okay.
Total.
All right. So what was it like the first time going in?
My first fight was my favorite fight. Probably always will be. I had so much fun.
I remember, yeah.
It was a beautiful experience because, I mean, if you actually stop and think about it, like, I had a horrible life in the past, went through literal hell, had been through just unimaginable things, and was told pretty much, you're not going to succeed at this. And then I'm told you're going to just be obese for the rest of your life and you're never going to walk. And I wouldn't accept any of it. And I didn't accept it in my heart. And so it was to take it and like turn it all the way around, see it on TV and be like, you know what? I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And to actually do it, it didn't truly matter what happened in the cage that night. Like, yes, I had been training. It would have been great to showcase all of that. But I can't say there's nerves. I don't get nerves before I fight. I'm so unbelievably happy because I have accomplished what I thought was like what everyone said, that you can't do that. You're not going to do that. And I'm like, fuck you.
That's probably the best part
I was
about
like,
it.
you know, I did it.
Yeah, and I've been in a few fights when, you know, growing up too, and obviously like when you play it out in your head, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this if this ever happened, or I'll do that, and it never happens that way.
Never.
Like when you've fought 3 times, so like when you go in the ring, are you going in with like fight or die type of mentality where it's like your back's against the wall and you kind of want that adrenaline to take over, or do you want to be more composed and you want to kind of be more precise and controlled?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm extremely calm.
Okay.
Until I get into the cage. I can nap. I can just chill out. It doesn't matter. I'm extremely calm. But the only thing is, like, there's this, I can't even explain it. Like, if you imagine it's just you and one person.
Yeah.
You have your coaches on the side. You have everyone yelling. There's so much going on around you. But even when you're in it, you don't hear it.
Yeah.
But it's you and one person in the eye of everyone. And not just in the sense of like in that moment watching. You're going to have so much criticism. It doesn't matter how well you do. It's not going to be what people want. Like you're putting yourself all out there. It's as vulnerable as you can get. There's always the potential of death.
Yeah.
You're walking out knowing you may die or that girl may die. And she's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
So you need to stop her. And in order to stop her, you may have to take her down.
Right.
You know, so it's like a feeling with nothing else. Like
I feel like there's not many people in the world who experience that type of thing.
No,
yeah, adrenaline is awesome though. Yeah,
it really is, and it does kick in.
Yeah.
It does
What about
kick in.
like, okay, so you get in, you're happy because it's against all odds, adversity. I love all that shit. It's fucking awesome. I mean, that's why we're sitting here and talking about it. But like, what about the things that you learned up to the point, you know, because Christian just said, you know, just like anything, when you speak in front of a group of people or you know, it never goes the way that you think it would. You know, I'm sure that when we sat down here tonight, that's why I write shit down, because if I don't, it's, yeah, I mean, who knows? We're going to be sitting here fucking talking about tacos or something. Who knows? But
Tacos
like,
are good.
Tacos are good.
They're always good. Did you like actually execute on what you learned and practice in that year? I guess that was the question.
Well, in the first fight, no. You know, it was probably the funniest thing ever. You know, and I still talk with the girl that I had the first fight with. And as soon as I got in there, we did have a plan. And I was coming out because we had studied her. I was coming out this way, a certain way. And her and I both came out like bulls and just ran into each other. Like literally just collided. I went for a knee, she went for a punch, and we were in and then we backed up. It wasn't her
first fight, too, was it?
It was her first MMA fight. She's very good in stand-up. She had done kickboxing, Muay Thai, all of those. That was my first stand-up.
So she probably had at that point a little more experience.
Probably about 5 years, yeah. And everyone's like, you know, I guess she couldn't find anyone to fight, and I was happy to do it. I was like, I don't care who it is.
You lost?
I did lose by what was considered a controversial decision.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And that means?
That people didn't believe that it was a loss, that it was...
They felt
might
because
have
she had
been
officially
more experience.
In the judge's eyes, you lost. In the people's
Officially,
eyes,
yeah.
which is what matters.
Yeah.
You won.
I could have cared less. I was still so happy even
Yeah.
after the fight. But like I remember going in there, we come at each other like bulls, and all of a sudden, she hits me in the face, right? And that was the first like hit in the face. And my thought was, oh no, you didn't, bitch. Like, and I just went ghetto. Like,
awesome.
I just went straight back to street fight. All technique went out the window. I am backhanding her. I see, but then I see blood coming down. And I'm like, all right, the backhand worked. I can't hear anyone. Like, I am so like, how dare you touch me? And then we get to sit down in the corner. I'm sitting with my coaches, and they're like, so I know her punches don't hurt, but you got to realize here it counts as points. And I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, yeah, Kelly, you're in an MMA fight. We're gonna need you to show up a little bit. And so then I can hear them. You know, second round. She won the first round. I will give her that. Second round is a bit of a toss up, you know, and then we sit down again in between the second and third round. And George says to me, he's like, you know, right now it's whoever wants it more, because they thought I had won the second round. So they thought it was down to this round. And they told me, they were like, it's whoever wants it more. And they're like, you've been training. They're like, do you fucking want this? Right. And I was like, I want it. And I stood up. They were like, we're not even done. I'm like, I got it. I got it. And that round I absolutely dominated. I was able to keep her on the ground the entire time, punching her in the face. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember when you know, you were posting about it and everyone was, because we have mutual friends, so I remember everyone was talking about it. But I mean, like you said, either way, like the fact that you were able to, you know, do what everyone said you weren't able to do and achieve that, at least getting in the ring to begin with, that's awesome. So I guess in the second fight that you had, obviously it's a little bit different because now you kind of had that first taste. You felt the first hit. You felt what it's like to get hit. So now your game plan obviously is going to be different with a new person, but how was it for you having that first experience already?
I can't say that it changed that much. It really didn't, because there was no nerves. I wasn't nervous. It was just, I mean, it's a unique feeling. But for the second fight, you know, it's so different. You're going in there with somebody completely different.
Right.
I was the last fight for that woman before she went pro.
Wow.
And this one I actually won because she was unable to respond to the bell. You know, I'm listening to them in the cage and they're like, oh, we can't get a heartbeat. And I'm thinking, oh shit, I killed somebody, which was my biggest fear of doing MMA. And, you know, she was a much, much heavier hitter. She broke my nose, and that just in the first round. You know, I got her in a guillotine. She had a concussion already. So it was just, that was an intense fight. And that would have been, had she been able to respond, that would have been one hell of a fight. Like,
what do you mean not respond to the bell?
She, like, I guess her heart stopped in between the rounds, and she was sitting on her little thing, and she fell.
Stool?
Yeah, she fell over, and that was it. They immediately called in medics. I got furious. I thought she quit because she missed weight. And so, and like, she had time to make that weight. And we all know, like, if there's any fighter knows.
What do you mean miss weight?
Like, you're supposed to weigh in. So we were fighting at 145. So when preparing for this fight, I'm going into it 175. I'm able to lose that much weight and meet you at 145. You
30
know,
pounds?
Sitting in the sauna, sitting there, sweating everything out, not putting the water back in. Every single fighter knows what hell cutting weight is. And you're so thirsty, when you're showering, you have to close your mouth because you're just like, oh my God, I want to drink it. And like, it's a horrible feeling. But like, I went through that hell. So when the other person doesn't, it's a crappy feeling, because I'm like, you could have done this, and I know you could have. So when she went out on the chair, I was like, I couldn't see her. I could only see people surrounding her. And I'm like, this bitch, she quit. And I punched the side of the cage so hard that it hurt my hand. And I was like, oh my God. And then my coach grabs me by the back of the neck, and he was like, she's dead. And I was like, what? Like, wow. I really thought she was dead, but she was fine. So.
And she's a professional
UFC
fighter
she
now,
got no. She got signed pro, but I don't think she's made her debut. I'll be kind when I put it that way. So.
Has anyone ever? I'm not really into fighting. You know, I like watch, like, you know, when like Pat has people over, I'll like go to his house and watch it just to like hang out with the guys or whatever. But it's not really I'm not really into like sports. But like, has anyone ever actually died?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it happened actually recently in amateur fighting too.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it does happen, unfortunately. It's usually post-fight that something will happen, or you know,
knocked
severe.
One too many times in the head or some shit.
Yeah, but in the
Bleeding
cage it has
brain or-
happened. Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's you get some serious injuries, you know. So.
And when because you said like before every fight you're very calm, and I mean I wouldn't even. I'm sure I'd be 100% different, but do you like do anything specific to help you out, or are you just naturally like that?
No, I'm naturally like that. I have yet to find something that will. Oh well, no, that's not true. Any kind of animal abuse or child abuse will rattle me, but other than that, no.
That's actually something else that we wanted to talk about as well. Is like, I know that you love animals.
Oh my God!
And I believe you have a company, right?
Yes.
What is it called?
It's Kelly's Pampered Pets.
Kelly's Pampered Pets. And what is that? What do you do with that?
It's professional pet sitting.
Okay.
So I'm a pet nanny.
And all kinds of pets, or just dogs?
As long as it's a legal domesticated animal.
So like crazy.
No. I've gotten phone calls for a puma. I'm like,
wow.
I'm sorry, my insurance doesn't cover that. I mean, I watch, you know, I have pets at foxes. My friend has a kinkajou, so I watched her kinkajou.
I have no clue what that is.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a little monkey.
Okay,
kinda
awesome.
like a monkey.
I love monkeys.
But I do watch, you know, monkeys, of course, dogs, cats, fish. But there's all kinds of neat animals. South Florida's weird.
Yeah.
South Florida is really weird. People have alligators. I'm like, I'm not watching your alligator. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
In your house, is it like all blocked? So you can't. I'm sure some of those animals can't.
I don't bring them to my house. I go to their house.
Okay.
A little staycay.
Great transition, Christian. We were talking about that before the show. We were like, we kind of just like ask random questions, but that was like perfect the way, we talked about, animals, and that's how you get fired up. And obviously so Kelly's Pampered Pet is your own business. You own your own business, which is fucking like why we do this shit too. But tell us about how that started.
Actually, it started in a really cool way. I'm a horrible employee. Like, I'll just own that first of all and foremost.
Why do you say that? What makes you a bad employee?
I don't want to be told to be somewhere at a specific time. Like,
you're an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Like, it's just, it's simple, but like, I don't want to have to cover my tattoos. If I don't want to wear a bra to work, I don't have to wear one. Like, I mean, these things, you can't, they're irreplaceable.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And so, like, I was actually working at Starbucks, and I had made it like a week and a half. And they were like, oh, we have a manager's meeting tonight. And I'm like, yeah, no, I have plans. And they, like, no one gave me a heads up. Yeah. And they're like, well, you're still in your first 2 weeks of training. I'm like, okay, well, then it's not going to be a big deal when I quit, right? And they were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, no, I can't make it. Like, I had something very important to me. And so I did not go until I quit. And so I made a decision. I was like, well, I have to find something that I do. Like, one, I want to be successful in life, but two, I want to be super happy. Yeah. And so I actually made 2 lists. And one list was everything I love in this world. It included shopping. It included animals. It included eating. Like, I love eating. Like, it included all the things I actually enjoy. And the other list was everything I want in a dream job. And it was all those simple things, like that I can wear my pajamas to work if I want to. I don't have to cover my tattoos. I don't have to hide who I am. Yeah. Like, anything like that. And it's like, so I took those 2 things and I put them together. And of course, the number one love was animals. So I based it mostly off of that, because I thought about personal shopper. I thought about a concierge, like, and I was like, no, that's still like a lot of people, like, in my face, all these things. And I was like, wait a minute. And I looked into pet sitting, and I immediately decided this is what I'm going to do. Everyone told me, oh, your first year in business, everyone fails. They don't make any money, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, then they're doing it for the wrong reasons. Right. And I truly did it for the animals. Like, I truly did, and I still do. And I believe that's why my company is so successful. I talk with a lot of other pet sitters, and they aren't at the same level of success. And I think it's because they're too focused on the money. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, of course. I really do.
Because then they don't take the extra.
No, you've got to take, if the dog needs a little extra here, or a little, don't be like, oh, well, now I have to charge him this. I have to. No, just, care for the dog. Like, just love that. If that dog wants an extra butt scratch, give it a damn butt scratch.
So. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's like the fact that you're able to just sit down and like you said, just write it down, is to actually visually see it, and then just figure it out. Yeah. Do some research, look at the potential possibilities, and then just go for it.
No, and I really do believe anyone can do anything. Absolutely anything if they put their mind to it. It isn't going to take footwork, 100%. 100%. But I think anyone can do anything. And I was telling Andrew, like, I adore pet sitting. It's my main thing, but I would love to do like motivational speaking. That's like, right. Because I truly believe in my heart, like, that so many people have not reached any of their potential, like not even a hair of it. Like, there's so much out there for everyone. And I don't feel like anybody goes to get their piece, like they don't want to put the effort in. So
we're going to go there. I want to go back to the business real quick, because it really intrigues me when people do it and they're successful. It's one thing to just to do it, and but it's one thing to actually internalize what you're talking about and thinking about the monetary gain of why people do what they do, and caring and giving a shit. It's just like if you work with people, if you don't give a shit about the person, so. But like from a logistics standpoint, so like you just were like, one day I'm gonna start my own business, and you put the animals first and all that stuff, and that all makes sense. But like, how did you actually make money?
Well, I looked at it as because I have a little Chihuahua named Tater Tot that is the most beautiful thing on this earth, in case you're wondering.
I know Tater.
She is the most beautiful thing on earth. And so I looked at it as, if I wanted someone to watch Tater Tot, what would I look for? And before I even thought of getting my first client, I established a purpose. And what that purpose was to be known. And so I built a website myself. I wanted it to be built by me because I was like, you know what? I don't want it to be media driven by somebody else who doesn't have that personal flair. And so I built my own website. I got my own phone number. I set up a nice little, voicemail for everyone to have a positively perfect day.
Wow.
The little stuff. The
Holy
little
shit,
stuff.
she's a marketer too.
And it was, I built something substantial first before I just went and started to walk dogs and go from here and do that.
Is this you here?
Yeah, I built that. Yeah.
All right, we got
I really
Kelly's
need to
website
update
up.
it, but
It's kellyspamperedpets.net in case anybody is looking for a pet sitter.
right. I bought .com. I just haven't built on it yet. But so that first year I built myself before, and then I simply went to neighbors that had dogs. Like I had cards printed. I had everything. I studied psychology in college, and it was like I knew which colors brought more comfort, which colors brought serenity, and I was like, what would somebody want for their animal more than tranquility? So I based everything off of everything I've learned in my life, and started handing out cards to neighbors. And I think my first dog I ever walked, there were 2 clients I remember, was Jude and Willow, and I watched them their entire lives. I unfortunately both have passed since then. But I watched them their entire lives. And slowly but surely, word of mouth. I don't pay for advertising. Yeah. Never have. Never will.
Seems like most people who have any type of, success, whether it's, monetary or just, an internal feeling of that they're doing well in life and business, say that a lot. Is that I don't spend money on, just word of mouth, so it's really refreshing to know that even in today's day and age, because you have so many platforms that people are spending money on, Facebook, Instagram, email marketing, all this stuff. And it's to know that a person can have an idea, right? Write down a plan, execute the idea, and actually physically put in physical footwork, walking to people and saying, hi, this is my name. This is what I do. That's what I feel like a lot of people forget about, that element of human connection, and they leave it off the table, and they're just oh, I'll just, do it on the internet or some shit. It's well, people don't realize that there's still, people want human connection still.
Right.
No, I think networking is huge, but my biggest networking is I go get coffee every day. I go to Starbucks, I get a cup of coffee, and I hang out for a moment. And while I'm there, I usually end up with a client because somebody's going to come in with their cute little dog. And I genuinely am excited to see that cute little dog. And usually what happens is I don't hand out a card. I don't usually even have cards on me because it's just not my thought process. But they'll be like, oh, you're really good with dogs, or my dog really loves you. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's because I pet sit.
Right.
I never am like, hey, I'm a pet sitter, let me ram it down your throat.
Right.
I'm not going to go to the dog park like a lot of companies do and hand out cards. It's so impersonal. Usually the dogs pick me as their pet sitter, and it probably annoys my boyfriend so badly that anytime we're walking down any street, if I see a dog, he knows. Yeah, we're stopping. It doesn't matter where we're going. If we're in a rush, if I see a cute little dog, I don't care if we're in the airport, what we are, I am stopping. So.
Yeah, but I think that's cool too, because you'll hear a couple of different advices, right? I've heard a couple of different people give their take on what to do when you start a business. So either some people are like, look, you're going to figure it out along the way, so just jump into it. And other people are like, look, do research, do that research first before you get into anything, so you can kind of, and that sounds like that's what you did.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, because a lot of people just kind of jump right into things and then they're just like, okay, I'll just figure it out along the way. But to be able to do that research and actually know the ins and outs and kind of logistically what you need to do to get to that point where you can kind of sustain yourself with a business. I like that a lot, actually.
I'm kind of in the R&D phase with the design company, the photo video work, and I just, sometimes people ask me to do something and they'll be like, how much you charge? It's well, nothing. I'm just gonna come fucking do it. We're gonna figure it out together, because I don't even know, because I'm not at the point where I have a portfolio and I have all this stuff to show people that, hey, this is my work, this is what I can do. It's I'm not even aware of what I'm capable of yet. So it's it's people, how do I, you don't just say, oh, I'm going to start a pet sitting business and I'm going to say, oh, here, can I walk your dog? I charge you $50 per hour or whatever. It's they're going to look at you and be like, the fuck away from me, you know. But if you're like,
Yeah.
hey, can I, you know, take your dog? I have a business, you know. Can I take your dog for a walk? Is that did I think I walked out of the room. Did I miss?
Yeah. Well,
Like,
she
when you
was just-
stopped to talk to the cute dog, do you talk about your business?
No, unless somebody
ask.
they actually engage with me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just petting the dog because I want to pet the dog.
Right.
But usually it's, oh, my dog loves you so much. Oh, it's so I've never seen her act like some of this with anyone. This happens like daily, and I'm like, yeah, I work with dogs. Oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay. Bam. Segue.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So-
tight.
Yeah,
And it's genuine.
natural.
Like,
Yeah.
I really just want to pet your cute dog.
Yeah.
Like, some people, I don't mention a word. I've been petting. Like, there's a dog named Molly that I pet at Starbucks. And I have been petting this dog for like a year. And finally, she's heard someone else be like, hey, you pets it, right? And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I never mentioned it to you. She's like, are you serious? She's like, Molly loves you.
And by that time, yeah, they already have a report.
Yeah,
and
she's
a connection
already,
to you.
she's like, oh, you're hired. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, thanks.
That's so awesome. It's the simplest shit,
Yeah.
you know. Like, everyone thinks like, oh, if I need to start a business, I gotta have some fucking idea
Right.
and some plan drafted with fucking investors. It's like, no, like if you want to start a business, figure out what you love to do and start the business.
Yeah.
100%.
And of course, there's like some industries that you have to do like that whole aspect of. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, I mean, with that's like ideally what you would want to see is, you know, the genuine part of it. But
the thing that I love about it the most is like it's not like the stereotypical shit. It's like it's like you just find a little niche, you
Right.
know. Is that something that you love to do? And like, who would ever think like you're not even like a kennel or like a you don't like board the dogs, like just fucking go to people's houses, walk their dogs.
Absolutely. And I
You know
get
what
to
I'm
see
saying?
amazing
And you
homes,
love
too.
it, and you make money, and you know you're successful, and you have other elements of your life that you kind of intertwine with everything else, and the fighting and the nutrition and the work. It's all just fucking. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
it really is.
So like, why do you think about motivational speaking?
You know, every time I mention my story to anyone, like, especially from like, you know, ground up story,
Yeah.
like mentioning like anything with like what I've been through and like recovery and things, and you know how I grew up and all of this. Like, I'm writing a book right now, actually,
Oh, that's
about
awesome.
my life. Yeah, and
Wow. Is there
it's-
anything that you don't fucking do?
yeah, I'm sure there's quite a lot. The first thing that came to mind, I'm not willing to say.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like, you know, it's every time, you know, I mention anything, they're like, wow, really? You did all this or you did all that? And to me, it's so normal. It's
Yeah,
my life. It's so absolutely basic. You know, I feel like it's a basic bitch life, like nothing to it. And then I hear people say, you know, or they come to me later, they're like, oh, you know, a year ago I met you and you told me this, this, and this. And so now I've done this. And that happens all the time. And finally, I had a woman come to me and tell me, like, how part of my story changed her entire life. And I was like, wow, like, I almost feel selfish not helping, you know? And like I mentioned with the pet sitting, like the genuine side to it, like I do genuinely believe like I have something that can help people. Yes, in the end, if it makes money, okay, awesome. But I would love to write a couple books, and I have a layout for each one of them, and that's what I'm working on now. Like, one about losing weight, because everyone is so interested in this magic solution that doesn't exist. You know, it doesn't exist. The other
Special
one,
sauce.
oh my god,
Sauce.
you know, I'm writing my life story, and
Is it matcha tea? Is it fat burner pills?
oh, it's ridiculous.
It's fucking hard work and dedication.
There you go.
You can't bottle that.
And like I'm writing about I'm actually writing a pet sitting book too, because
that's
I've
awesome.
seen the funniest things. Because when you go into people's homes, you see things. We'll just put it at that.
Yeah, I've worked a couple of jobs going to people's. There's some weird shit out there. That's for
It's
sure.
true.
So have you actually thought about actually like speaking somewhere or executing or setting up an event or anything of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a client. I have a very diverse clientele, and one of my clients is a very well-known keynote speaker.
Awesome.
And so I was talking with his wife, and she runs his company, of course, because she's the wife. And I was talking with her, and, you know, hopefully, you know, I will be able to do some mentoring, because his level of influence on the community is amazing. And I won't say who he is, no, but he, you know, he has exactly what I'm who I'm looking to reach. And
The platform, the
yeah,
resources.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And also I'm looking into if I can get the books out in a timely fashion, especially like for the motivational aspect. Like if you read a book and you love it, the first thing you want to do is, oh, well, this person's having a seminar. Oh, this person's having this. Like you have to give the same as like building the website first. There has to be a reason. Like if I just send out an invite and it's like, hey, come here, Kelly, talk. I would be like, no, I'm good. You know,
the fuck is Kelly?
But like, why am I gonna go there? Like, all my friends would show up because they're like, oh, it's Kelly. But like, I want people who actually need something.
Strangers.
Yeah, that's a whole different aspect. So I'm very much in the forming phase, which for me involves buying just a bunch of notebooks and good pens, and a new keyboard, because I'm like, this is where it all starts.
It's kind of like the same thing with the podcast, like it's great that like all of our friends listen to it, and like, our parents listen to it, and like we all have supporters and stuff like that. And it's like, they would do that no matter what we were talking about. If we were sitting here talking about stuffed animals or whatever, they would fucking listen to it because they're our friends and our family, they support us. But like, it's like deeper than that. It's about, reaching someone that you normally wouldn't able, to have the ability to reach, I mean, like, it's great that we have people that support us, and, there's not a ton of downloads on the podcast, but like, hopefully that like one person shares it to like a stranger or someone that we don't know, and like they hear it and they're like, and then it kind of sparks them, because like that's how this whole like journey into all this self-development stuff started for me. Like it started with me, a friend was like, yo, look at this video, and then bam, it fucking changed everything.
E.T. Eric Thomas.
One video like changed everything. It changed like so much shit, and I just think to my head, like, if I could be that change, to be the spark to change one person's thought pattern or process, or like have them believe or whatever it is, that's why we do the podcast. And it's like, when people ask like, what's the podcast, why do you do the podcast, they don't ever get that answer, because I'm not in the moment, and I can't, like, I just kind of tell you, oh, it's like, it's fucking talk radio, but it's like so much more than that, so that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I really want to truly reach people. Like, I've said it many times, like, I believe my life has become so unimaginably great. Like, from where it was to where it is now, I wish I could like give that feeling away, and I can't give away how I feel. I can always give people hope. That's the one thing I can give.
I was gonna say, I think with the books, that's essentially.
It's just getting it out there. The main compliment I get when I speak for anything or anyone is, I felt what you were saying. Because if I am riled up about it, it is just a going, and you can feel it, because I mean every word of it.
Yeah, I can tell you this. There's always like podcasts or shows or things that I listen to. Like, I could tell when people are experienced in speaking, because they just have a different, vernacular and a way that they speak and carry themselves, and they're fluid with it. I could definitely hear that in you. And sometimes I think to myself, when I listen to other people, I'm like, wow, like, I wish I could sound that good. Like, sometimes I'll say, or like, I'll like, there'll be a pause, or like, I'll do like weird clicking shit, like just things like that. But like, people who are like gifted in that way, I don't know, maybe they're gifted, or maybe they just practice so much that they've gotten to a point where it's like just natural to them, and I would hope to get there at one point.
Yeah, and that's cool. Another thing I wanted to ask too, just to kind of go back a little bit, is what was that going through the books? Like, what was that process like to kind of start writing?
Well, we're still in the starting of some of them.
Okay.
The most unique would have been the autobiography, like writing my own story.
Wait, when you say we, what do you?
I don't know. Maybe I split personalities. I'm at me.
No, I didn't know if you like working with like a publicist or publisher or something.
No, it's me and my computer.
Okay.
Maybe my computer has a name. No, it's that would have been the most unique experience, because to bring it back, like, something that is well known about me with my friends is that I don't tell you anything. Like, my whole past, I just leave it in the past. I'm like, all right, there it is. Boom. Have a nice day. Over it. So to actually sit down and focus on it was unique. I grew up a government baby. My dad was in the government. I was born overseas. Some really crazy shit happened, and we moved to the Midwest. And like, so to write down the details as to what happened, why it happened, all the things I saw being like a government child, like always being in the public eye, all of that, like, I don't ever get into with people. So it's been actually quite enlightening to sit down and take a look at things, you know, and from like the get-go.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So if anybody wants to reach you, whether it's for pet sitting, booking for motivational speaking, publicist to promote your book, maybe they want to have you sign up for a fight, maybe they want to hire you as a life coach, maybe they want you to teach you about
there's a lot of
life
options.
development.
There's a lot of options there.
How do they find you?
They could just email me.
Just email you. What's your email?
It's live to be true. So LIV, the number 2, BTRUE @gmail.com.
Awesome. Okay. All right. We're getting close to an hour here. I know it's getting late. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add in, Chris?
Nope. Just thank you for coming out. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for spending the time. All right, so that wraps up episode 21. Remember, if you guys like the episode, are into the show, subscribe, leave a rating. Click on whatever star you feel is appropriate for our show.
This one's a 5.
This one is a banger. Yes. Don't pad the fucking numbers. Don't be soft about it. Give us the honest truth. That always helps us improve the show and improve our lives. So, thanks everyone.